Welcome back to the Midnight Gospel, where we fall asleep into dreaming of being there in our favorite Bible stories. Tonight, we begin with Psalm 23, the Shepherd's Psalm, the one that sounds like green grass, slow streams, and rest at noon under cool shade. These aren't sermons. They're stories retold slowly to help your body rest and your soul come home back to God. This video was made to help you drift to sleep while drawing near to something holy. You don't need to worry if you stay awake for everything or remember every verse. Even if you fall asleep before the end, the story will keep walking with you. Let the outside world get farther away. Let your breath grow soft. You don't have to listen closely. Just let it settle into your breath. The day doesn't begin all at once. It arrives as a quiet, pale shimmer behind closed eyelids, a gentle gray that seeps in through the thin weave of the linen, silent, steady. There's no hurry, no call to leave the stillness yet. Only the slow realization that morning is here, and the world is not in a rush to open its eyes. My arms lie folded in the softness, the old linen cool from the night. I stretch, inching a shoulder, toes curling beneath cool cloth, just to remember that the body can feel safe, held. Breathing in, the air is different now, new, but gentle, smelling faintly of dust and yesterday's sun-baked earth. A quiet breath out, let the lungs empty in no rush at all. The room is pale with the first light. Shadows stretch across the stone floor, long and lazy, not ready for the brightness either. There is a soft dullness to every shape, the little bowl on the shelf, the rough sandals by the door, my everyday robe resting in a careful heap. All the colors are still asleep like the sky before it makes any promises. I let my eyes stay closed a bit longer. There's nowhere to go. Nothing waits for me except the day, and the day is slow. The silence lingers, not empty but holy. I try to let this quiet cover me, like water or old prayers. Another slow breath, deeper this time. Someone outside coughs. A goat knocks a pail in the yard, and the sound is small, like a pebble in the river. Even that isn't urgent. Maybe it's just the world learning how to be awake. Light begins to move, slow and kind. It finds the curve of my hand, the edge of my cheek, laying itself gently across my forehead. I remember Psalm 23 then. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Those words drift through the hush of the room, and I imagine, not grass or water, but this. Linen's breath, a morning that takes its time. Let this moment stretch. Someone once said nothing good happens hurried. Even bread needs time to rise. Even the sheep remember to linger. I trace the quiet with my finger, across the seams of cloth, the small pebbles on the floor, the gentle crack in the wall where the pale, gold light grows thicker. Every little thing is proof that today is enough. Not more, not less. Simply enough. Let your thoughts slow down with me. Let your mind rest its head on something soft. In the silence, the body finds new rhythms, shoulders falling lower, jaw unclenching, chest opening to the morning air. The smell of cool stone mixes with last night's ash, a stubborn warmth in the corner. I hear a dove somewhere soft, folding its wings, not a message but a presence. The hush in the room feels safe, untouched. The walls have heard every secret and every sleep-mumbled prayer, and they keep them quietly for no one else to find. Another slow breath in, hold it for a moment, then let it slip out, softer than before. The world will wait. The morning is patient. I lay there, blinking at the ceiling, watching the light move a little more with every breath. No one speaks yet. There are no orders, no lists, no tasks worth worrying in the dark. Today will unfold one small thing at a time. A pot of water warming on the fire, a palm sliding over rough wood to sweep last night's crumbs. Maybe, later, the rhythm of footsteps along the stone path to the well. Let this moment stretch. The shepherd walks slowly. He does not rush his flock to green pastures. He lets them find the tender places. One step, then a pause, then another. That's how I want to move today. Not toward a finish line. Not away from anything either. Just here, learning how to wake, how to breathe, how to let ordinary light be a blessing. A fly draws a lazy circle by the window. The house groans as it shifts in the sun. This is all the miracle I need. I feel the gentle thrill of sleeping limbs waking, tingles down calves, a shoulder stretching, the soft ache of calves unwinding from dreams. Even this is holy. Let your breath follow mine, slow and even. Inhale, pause, exhale, long and low. No need to carry anything forward, not yet. The quiet is enough. In it I remember, nothing is asked of me I can't give. He asks for nothing, and still I feel full. I press my hand to my chest. My heart is slow. My body is safe in its quiet work. There are no enemies at the threshold, no voice but the shepherd's promise that today will have what it needs. The rod and staff I imagine, left leaning by the door, waiting not for danger but for guidance if I ever need to rise. Even this silence is holy. The sun pushes a little higher. The woven shadows change, but they do not hurry me along. The whole world seems to whisper, "Be at peace. You are covered, you are watched, you are enough." So I stay for a while longer beneath linen, letting the small details become my prayer. The warmth on my cheek, the way my breathing slows, the promise of slow water and green places, waiting always for the shepherd's gentle path. The oil is quiet in the small clay bowl. I dip my hand in the bread flour size as I sprinkle it across the table. The little heap softens into itself. Early light slips through the curtain, dust moving with it. Still, nothing stirs except the animals behind the wall. They haven't noticed me yet, but I notice them. I pour the water slowly, a thin line from the jug. It makes a cool sound, soft against the flour. I wait, watch it sink, almost disappearing. Need, fold, rest, need, fold, rest. My hands move in a circle, slow and steady. I press down, fingers finding each ridge. The dough is firm at first, then warmer, softer. It gives back like a tired body easing into a bed. There's a quiet rhythm here. Not much to think about, just the gentle stretch and turn. Knead, fold, rest over and over. No one rushes. Even the clay oven waits. It always takes longer than I remember. Once or twice, my mind drifts off. I stare into the grain of the wood, watching the edges blur. The birds outside forget their song. A donkey brays, but even that soon turns into background. The world is slow. The kneading goes on. Knead, fold, rest. Let this moment stretch. Let this silence be holy sometimes, only sometimes. I remember the words he said about still waters and green pasture, about not being in want even with so little. My hands press down again. The dough rises softly, then settles. Nothing special, just bread. But each motion holds the whole story if you listen quietly. The folding and pressing, Every small act is devotion when you let it be. I feel the breath in my chest, even and steady. I match the pattern, breathe in, press. Breathe out, fold. It calms everything. The dough needs to rest now. I cover it with cloth, tucking the corners gently. It sits silent. Sometimes I think the bread is praying too, in its own way, waiting in darkness. I watch the shadows change on the wall. The silence grows deeper. Even the waiting is holy. The world is quiet. My hands are empty for a few minutes. There's nothing to do but let the dough become itself. Time slows down when you let it. The night listens with you. After a while, I light the small fire, making the room warm. It flickers orange and gold. I listen to crackling. Sometimes I whisper a thank you. No one hears it, but I feel it settle in the room. When it's time, I bring the dough to the oven. I pat it flat, round and thin. There's a comfort in that, palms pressing out air, edges spreading wider each time. The bread is plain. It will feed whoever sits at this table. The flatbread smells sweet when it bakes. Not much rises, but it warms the air. I sit nearby, watching flame shadows. Sometimes I almost forget I'm awake. Folded in that little room, the world feels far away, only the soft, steady quiet of a meal becoming possible. He asked for nothing and still felt full. That's what I remember most. Not the miracles, not the old stories. Just the way he looked at the simplest meal as if it was everything he needed. As if even boredom could be holy. Let the waiting have its place, need, fold, rest. The bread is done. The night keeps watch. There's a spot behind the wild mint at the very edge of the hill. It's quiet here, just a patch of soft dirt where the sandals don't press so deep. I sit with my back against a smooth, round stone, knees tucked in, just far enough to see them all but not close enough for anyone to notice me. The late sun is warm on my arms. I pick at a bit of sage between my fingers, the scent sharp and simple. Somewhere ahead, someone is speaking. I can't see their face, just a shoulder, the shape of their hand raised toward the sky. Most of what they say gets tangled in the wind, only a few words find me. Sometimes it's just the rhythm, rising and falling, softer than the doves in the grass, a little steadier than my own breath. Every once in a while, the crowd shifts. Heads turn, a murmur passes through like birds startled by nothing at all. The voices stretch, then settle. I don't worry about missing the meaning. It's enough to listen like this, letting the sound reach me when it does, letting it pass when it doesn't. Maybe the grass understands more than I do. I try to sit as quietly as it does. There's a boy with a basket sitting closer. His feet swing above the dirt. I watch the dust jump with every movement, tiny suns spinning in the evening light. He drops a crumb and an ant finds it, business as usual. No one looks back this far. I am just another stone in the hill, another stray thing the day forgot. It's easier this way. I don't have to be ready or wise or even awake. I could close my eyes and no one would know the difference. The words blend with the wind. Sometimes a sentence lands at my feet, but I let it linger or slip away. Either is fine. The smell of baking bread drifts from somewhere behind, warm and low. Someone gathers herbs nearby. The voices up front are pale in comparison, background, like reeds at the edge of a pond. The crowd holds its breath, then trickles out a sigh. There's peace in the way everyone settles, fidgeting less, becoming still not because they're told, but because the day invites it. The sun keeps sinking. I count the time by the shade crawling along my toes. Someone coughs. A child laughs, quickly hushed. All these sounds stack up against the hillside until they blur, none of it asking anything of me. Somewhere a staff leans against a rock forgotten. Someone braids a long blade of grass. An old woman dozes in the sun, her head tipped back. No one is listening perfectly, and that feels holy somehow. I sit and let the crowd's hush hold me. Nothing to carry, nothing to figure out. The edges of the sermon are soft here. I don't need to move closer. The words are just another part of the afternoon's quiet, as steady and fine as the air itself. Nothing happens, really. A breeze, a swallow looping overhead. Distant words, sometimes clear, mostly not. I fold back into the hillside. I let the murmurs pass through me, gentle as sleep. There's beauty in half-hearing, peace in being part of the quiet. I stay a while longer while the story continues without me, slow, safe, and just enough. The sun rose slow, but I was slower. I took the old clay jar from its place by the door. My thumb traced the rim, it's chipped but still whole. It fits against my hip easy, the kind of comfort you don't notice unless you leave it behind. Sand cold underfoot, at first, then sun warm, soft as bread. I start walking, just one step after another. Each one sounds the same: heel, then toe, heel, then toe. The jar nudges my side in the same spot, gentle and sure. For a while it's only this: my feet, the hush of morning air, a shepherd's voice somewhere far off. The sheep don't hurry. I don't either. The path veers past a tuft of grass, green, almost bright against the earth. I let my eyes settle on that spot, let the color sink in. Even the stones in the path feel rounded, safe. The well stones are cool, still holding the night. I lower the jar, slow, rope sliding, then the soft echo of water below. I fill the jar, not all the way, just enough so I can lift it steady. Not too heavy, not too light. There's a rhythm to it. Hand over hand, rope to jar, jar to lip of the well, pause, lift. The weight settles even before I move. I adjust the jar on my hip. It leans into me, warm now. Step, step. Sand shifts, then goes quiet again. A bird circles overhead. I watch but don't wave. There's no one here but the morning and the promise of coming home. Halfway back the jar slips. I steady it slow. The water inside moves with its own mind, soft slosh, gentle hush. My arms find their balance, one hand beneath, one hand on the handle. Every few steps I breathe deeper. It helps. Let this moment stretch, each breath folding into the next. My mind drifts, but the walk stays the same. Step, step, shift, pause. The house grows nearer, but not quickly. The road has room for slowness. No one rushes the water home. Sometimes I let my eyes close while I walk, just for a blink. Trust the path. Trust the jar. My feet know the stones, the soft dips. Even this silence is holy. When the shadows change, I know I'm almost there. My arms ache a little, but it's the good kind of tired. Water waits. Table waits. Someone will drink and no one will remember the wait or the walk, but it mattered. Every step, every gentle shifting, every sigh into the quiet. The night listens with you, and the shepherd knows the slow routines, even when no one else is watching. The first sound is always the same: sandals touching the stone path outside the house. Heel, then toe, a gentle tap, falling into the hush before sunrise. The whole street seems to listen, not for news or footsteps rushing, only for patience stretched thin, like linen left out to dry. I never hurry this early. I let the shape of the morning decide my pace, breathing slowly, trying to match it with the sound of the steps. In, out, stone, then air. Some days it's smooth. The ground worn flat by years of ordinary feet passing to the well and back again. Other mornings the stones wobble, a loose one, small proof that nothing stays the same forever, even here, where silence settles between homes and seems to never move. The world's softest sound, sandal, stone, breath. My mind tries to wander forward, chores, bread to bake, a friend to help carry water. But then another slow step, and the echo carries a little longer than the last. The sound isn't only footsteps, it's a rhythm that fills the gaps inside me, too. I breathe in that space, hold. Even after my foot lifts, the echo of the last step seems to stretch further and further. Like the day before anything happens. Like the pause between questions and answers when you just stand there, not yet knowing. And the shepherd's voice, the real one inside, easier to hear without all the crowding thoughts. I let the silence come as long as it needs. Even that is presence. Sometimes I feel the small mound of dust inside my left sandal, a pebble maybe, or a memory from yesterday. I could stop and empty it, but nothing presses in this hour. Pause. The stone feels cool, even under old leather. The breath finds its way into my chest again. Out, somewhere up the path, goats murmur. I listen instead of hurrying. There is no race where I'm going. Just a slow winding between walls, stones giving back the shape of my step, like the world noticing, but not interrupting anything sacred. At the turn, sun touches the far wall. I feel it at my shoulder. For a moment the stones glow, and so do I. No one notices, but it's true all the same. I keep moving, one step, one breath, the pattern holding me in place and time, safe from thoughts that want to chase ahead. I don't let them today, not yet. Sometimes I think of how many before me walked these same stones, and how the echoes of their steps must still be here, tangled with mine. Even if I can't hear them, I like that idea. None of us ever walks alone here, so I keep placing heel, then toe, listening more than thinking, letting the sound of walking become a soft prayer I don't have to say out loud. The shepherd knows this rhythm, and so nothing urgent happens. Not this hour. Only presence stretching wide between one step and the next, the morning, the stones, gentle breathing, sandals, even this silence is holy. Let this moment stretch. The night listens with you. The light outside is soft, almost faded. The day bending low, almost ready to close. In the cool room, linen tunics pile quietly on the bench, each one a little different, but all shaped by steady hands and long wear. I sit for a while before I start. There's no hurry. The stone floor is cool at my feet, and the air smells faintly of olive oil and dust. It's a good silence, the kind that feels thick, holding the day inside it. Tunics wait, like folded yesterdays. Some are newer, barely wrinkled. Others are worn gentle, the color faded by many mornings, many washings. My hands smooth each one. Linen feels warm and soft, reminding me of how things change, but never all at once. One tunic, then another. I lift each carefully, matching long edges, sleeve to sleeve, straightening corners. The cloth is cool at first, and then, with each movement, it soaks up a little warmth from my hands. Let this moment stretch. The smallest crease gets smoothed with pressing palms. I trace the hem with my thumb, slow and unhurried. Sometimes a tiny tear, mended a week ago, catches against my skin, just a bump, nothing more. Each mark tells a story, but tonight they're quiet. No one needs to remember. It's enough to sit here, folding in the dimness. Even this silence is holy. There's a rhythm folding tunics. Fold, pause, fold, breathe, lifting and tucking, always matching one corner to another. Tidy piles grow not for show, but for the comfort of order, the rightness of things in their place. It feels like prayer, though I do not speak a word. My hands know what to do, slow and careful, moving on their own. A kind of reverence in each crease pressed flat, in each finished stack. Knowing someone will wear this tomorrow, perhaps for work or a meal or a walk by the water. Let your breath match the slow movement. I think about all that stays silent and unseen. Cloth cradles every shoulder without complaint, and my folding is a way of listening. Small tasks, patiently done, hold more care than anyone sees. With each finished tunic, the night feels quieter. Sometimes I pause to listen. I hear water in a basin, a soft cry from the yard, a neighbor's door creaking shut. But the main sound is gentle cloth, sliding, brushing, being put in order for another day. Even this is enough. Sometimes my mind tries to run ahead, plans for tomorrow, worries about things not yet undone. But folding tunics calls me back. Just this, just hands and linen and the slow patience of small, careful order. No news, no rush, just the evening wrapping itself around small acts. Let yourself rest inside the slowness. By the end, the bench is cleared. Stacks of tunics, warm from my hands, wait quietly for morning. All is tidy, the room a little softer for it. He asked for nothing and still felt full. The night listens with me. There's late sun sliding through the olive branches, like fingers curling around the old stones. The air hums lightly. A fig tree holds a quiet shadow just big enough for two people and an old woven mat. Someone set out a bowl of figs. Someone else placed a handful of olives, dusted with salt, on a plate between them. No one speaks. Their voices are rolled away like little stones to the edge of the day. They chew, slow and careful, as if figs might dissolve into silence first. A fly wanders the rim of the bowl but doesn't stay long. Let this moment stretch. One shifts their weight and hands a fig to the other. It's soft and warm. They trade olives back and forth, just passing things quietly. There's no reason to rush. Even their eyes are half closed, listening to what isn't being said. The shade is cool. Even this silence is holy. A breeze twists the grass. One villager wipes sweat from their brow, the other just watches an ant drag a crumb away. They both sigh, as if breathing out the heavy day. There isn't much left to do until sunset. No plans, no stories today, just the sweet pulp of another fig, the salt of an olive, and two silent friends letting the afternoon empty itself. The night listens with you, somewhere above. A dove calls out once, then settles. Quiet falls back in. One of them leans their head against the trunk, eyes closed, holding the pit of a fig in their palm as if it mattered. They don't move. They don't fill the air with words. The world is gentle and the day has nothing more to demand. He asked for nothing and still felt full. Let the silence between bites stretch as though the pause itself is a blessing. A cluster of grapes waits at the edge of the mat. Neither reaches for it yet. It's enough, this company. Even in silence, communion completes itself. The goats graze far on the hill. The earth presses on, warm and alive beneath them. Even the quiet is a kind of prayer tonight. The house is mostly dark now, except for a single light. A clay lamp, small and tired, holds its fire steady, sending a quiet line of gold across the table. Someone sits, a scribe or a patient son. It's hard to tell, shoulders soft, never hurried here. The reed pen rests between careful fingers, worn smooth, hardly more than a stick, and is dipped just once into the ink. A pause, so long it feels like sleep finds him first. The pen hovers, just a shadow over pale parchment, moonlight stretching alongside lamp light, together making soft shapes on the wall. He breathes out slowly, then sets the tip down. The first letter finds its shape, not important that it's perfect, just that it's made at all in this slow and steady evening. He waits. The ink glistens, still wet. The room is silent except for a tiny breath and the small hiss of oil in the lamp. The next line will not come until the last one has dried. Here, the space between strokes is almost larger than the writing itself. He looks up. The house has settled. The world outside goes on, but quieter. A shepherd moving his flock under the stars, a baby crying far away, the sound of someone drawing water for morning bread. None of it rushes. Here, this page and this table are enough. The next letter comes slow. Each mark invites another silence, the kind of hush that doesn't hurry by but sits with you, untroubled. You might think nothing is happening, but still, the page is filling, and the night thickens around him in gentle folds. Between each letter his hand stays. He lets the ink rest, lets himself not move for a while. Maybe he'll finish one verse tonight, maybe not. It's not the record that matters, only the being here, side by side with the words. Even a pause is holy when the night is honest and small. Sometimes he counts the breaths before writing again. 3, 4, sometimes he just listens to the lamp, how quietly it waits too. The room feels fuller with silence than with sound. He remembers the green pastures from childhood, the stillness in the air by the slow stream, the way the shepherd's rod felt certain in the dusk. Sometimes he wonders if God is like that, steady as a hand on the page, making room between each stroke. He dips the pen again, smells the bit of oil and ash in the ink, hears the weight of his own slow task. There's nothing special promised by the end of tonight's line, and still he keeps going. Sacred boredom, a page at a time. He lets this moment stretch. Even this silence is holy. He's not writing for an audience. He asked for nothing and still felt full. His story is not the center, just a fringe along the night, a witness. The Lord is present in the pauses just as much as the lines. Let the ink dry. Let the hand rest. Let the hush gather quietly until only moonlight and the page are awake, watching with you. The night listens with you, and nothing important is ever left undone when you move this slowly. Someone left a bowl of oil on the table. It waits in a patch of quiet light, thick and golden. The room isn't busy now. Only the scrape of a wooden spoon in a clay bowl, slow, round, and slower still. The oil moves, carrying little shadows with it. Nothing needs to happen, so I watch and I stir. The spoon lifts once, slides in again. Each circle leaves the oil smoother at the edges. It isn't exciting. No one is watching. There isn't a reason, except that oil must be mixed sometimes. And I suppose patience is a kind of work. All day, small crumbs and dust settle in the corners. I wipe the table and gather the things that belong in the jar. But the oil stays on its own, a small golden lake that grows steady in the bowl. When I lean closer, I can see my face lagging in the soft glare. It isn't clear, but it's enough. A candle flame perks up nearby, wavering in the surface. The oil does not change or hurry. It simply receives the light and holds it for a little while. The smallest lamp and the smallest prayer are welcomed in that shine. Sometimes the surface jumps, a tremor from my hand. The light slips and sways, twisting the room into gentle patterns. Nothing sharp, nothing fast. Mostly the bowl is quiet and even my breathing feels slower. I think of how easily oil covers the things it touches, even things that are rough or broken. The sound of the spoon is sleepy, almost too quiet to notice. Every slow turn draws more gold across the bowl's edge, hiding small cracks. In the middle, the light rides gently, never shouting for attention. Even now, the sun outside is going down, and still, the surface keeps a little bit of what's left. It is a gentle way to be useful, to let small lights find a place to rest, to hold them without rush until they feel like they belong here too. Mostly it feels like nothing, a slow evening with a bowl and a spoon. Let this moment stretch. There are footsteps outside, muffled and going somewhere else. I keep stirring. The oil grows thicker with time, not less. There is no one asking how long it should take. I just watch the light, now pale, now golden, holding every flicker as if it is important. Sometimes I forget what I came here for, but the oil waits patient. It does not need a reason to be watched. The act of slackening, the ordinary duty, that's enough. Each lap of the spoon is like a promise. Yes, even the boring things are sacred. Even the plain, careful acts can last. Let even this silence be holy. At last, the candle burns lower, the air thickens, and the spoon rests by the bowl again. The oil is ready for its next use, or maybe not. It will not spoil for waiting. It glows where light found it and folds shadows in with no hurry at all. I do not rush to clean or finish or decide what comes next. A bowl of oil, a single breath, and the quiet trust that someone will need it soon. The night listens with you. It was late afternoon. Most chores had finished a while ago. The sun leaned to one side of the village, long shadows spreading quietly across stones and soil. Someone nearby fed goats in the yard, so now and then a bleat or the brush of wool could be heard. But here, behind the old wall, everything felt private, held in gentle shade. That's when he knelt down. He did it softly, slowly, in the same spot as yesterday and 100 days before. The ground was warm from sun, but not hot. An old softness lingered just beneath the surface, where grass had been trampled by sandals and knees all spring. He didn't bring a prayer. He had nothing to say, nothing to ask. The earth pressed against his knees, uneven with pebbles, cool in the dips. The dry blades of grass tangled between fabric and skin. He let his weight settle until he could feel the shape of the ground more than his own worries. Just here, just breathing. No list of requests, no words at all. Behind the little stone wall he let the silence stretch. The village kept its slow pace. A child laughed 6 homes away. Water was poured into a clay jug, and somewhere in the hills a sheep's bell marked the hour without hurry. Each sound faded and returned like waves of air. They were not interruptions. They were part of the prayer he didn't pray. At first he tried to think of scripture, or remember old songs, but soon thoughts drifted like the clouds overhead, slow and out of reach. The shade cooled his arms. Dust from the day found its way onto his robe. This was not a holy place, but it felt safe, quiet enough to let God be everywhere at once. He looked at the earth below his hands. Ants walked their tiny highways beside his thumb, pausing, turning, going forward. His breathing matched the rhythm of their tableaus, a slow in-breath, a slow out-breath. He didn't force anything, just bone, muscle, skin, and earth sharing stillness. Sometimes his mind would wander to little things, a worry about cracked terracotta or remembering to mend the hem of his sleeve. These thoughts came and went without resistance. There was nothing to fix, nothing to chase. In a shadowed crevice, moss grew green among broken pottery. He ran his fingertip beside the cool places, feeling the fuzz of life beneath dust. The world here felt steady, emptied of hurry. Pressing both palms to the ground, he noticed how the weight moved through his body, out of his thoughts, into the steady patience of the soil. Let this moment stretch for a while. He heard nothing but his own breath. Each inhale, each exhale, unremarkable. The prayer was not in words, but in the way his body rested in the hush that comes after work, after speaking. Absence became presence. Jesus once prayed in silent places, and the villagers sometimes wondered how. Maybe he just went away to listen, to let the fields listen with him. This kneeling wasn't faithful or faithless. It was just being there, letting the world hold him up for a while. Even this silence is holy. A breeze slipped past, brushing his cheek, stirring the ends of his hair. The soil, pressed against his knees, felt as grounding as a father's hand. Stable, unspectacular, but certain. He noticed how his breathing slowed further, like sinking into a warm bath, except it was earth, steady and forgiving and real. A neighbor's rooster called far away. Someone elsewhere beat a rug against a stone sound, then nothing. The world kept turning. He stayed exactly as he was, trusting time would pass without help. He didn't need to say Amen or recite a psalm. He trusted the waiting was enough. Sometimes he wished for more words, but most days he found comfort in the quiet blankness, like being a child resting on someone's lap with no story to tell. The sun dropped lower. Shadows cooled the backs of his hands. He glanced at the worn stone near his knee, scratched years ago, probably by someone else, kneeling at another quiet hour. God was near, but in no special way. Not in a light or a voice or a sign, just in the simple honesty of kneeling against the ground as dusk gathered slowly. He found himself full, having asked for nothing. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. He stood up slowly, knees stiff and marked with dust. He brushed crumbs of soil from his robe, pausing a little longer to let the earth's steadiness remain in his bones. Even now, as people began to gather for supper and distant laughter spilled over fences, the calm stayed with him, gentle and sure, as if God were the ground itself, lifting him up in silence. The village welcomed night as a familiar friend, doors closing softly, oil lamps flickering. And somewhere not far off, a shepherd walked the hills with staff in hand, moving quietly among the sheep, steady as the sky. Let the night listen with you, the earth beneath the knees. Sometimes that's all the prayer you need. It's quiet now, the grass outside sways slow, even after the sun has gone. If you watch from the open window, you can still see the blades moving in the evening breeze, folding back. unfolding forward over and over, like someone breathing quietly just beside you. Even at night, the fields do not hurry. The sheep are tucked close to one another. You can hear a faint shift, wool brushing wool, soft noses against the ground, the tiniest sigh, less than a whisper. They'll rest here till morning. They always do. Inside, I move slowly too. I fold my linen, the same one I used today to cover the bread on the table. It smells a little of grass, a little of flour, a little like sunlight wrapped in weave. With the last bit of daylight in the room, I smooth the corners and place it beside my sleeping mat. Nothing left is needed. My hands find comfort in the softness, in the familiar way linen falls heavy in the hands but light where it touches my face. Sometimes I press it close just to feel that weight. The day's noises have faded out to quiet breathing. Water sits in a jar near the mat, cool and still. My fingers dip in, just for a second, letting the coolness settle me. There's nothing to decide, nothing to fix. Tonight just asks for letting go in the same way grass lets the wind carry it, one breath at a time. I pause at the low doorway, glancing out to the pasture again. Shadows stretch out across the green. I watch as the darker strips roll gently with the movement, silver edges marking where moonlight touches and skips. Each blade moves back and forth, back and forth. If you watch long enough, thoughts become as soft as grass, quiet and slow. Even my worries feel smaller, pressed under the hush of so many simple blades. I slip onto my sleeping mat, knees curling toward the wall, the blanket folded over my feet. The cool of the earth rises up through the woven rushes, a steady, grounding kind of cold. It reminds me I am here. Tonight, that's enough. There's the sound of someone closing a shutter 2 doors down. There's a bowl set quietly onto a shelf. Beyond that, nothing but the steady hum of the night crickets, a distant sheep shuffling, wind moving through nothing. I close my eyes and listen to my own breath. Somehow it falls into the same rhythm as the grass. Out, in, out. In, I think about the shepherd, outside where the sheep are. I know he sits close, rod and staff beside him, watching the field. He barely moves unless he has to. That steady shape, leaning against a stone, is easy to picture even with my eyes shut. He does not leave the pasture, not even when the moon is high and every other soul is sleeping. The sheep rest, and so does he, but always with one eye open. My mind drifts on that image, the safety in it, the quiet presence. I let myself rest in that knowledge, a breath, then another. The house is still but not empty. I say a very simple prayer, barely a whisper, the kind you can say without opening your mouth. Thank you for the peace that holds me. Folded in the night, surrounded by fields that move even when no one watches, I let go. Sleep comes slowly, creeping up like dusk slipping between the grass and the sky. There is no hurry. There is only this letting one thought lead softly into the next and then letting even those dissolve. I remind myself, stillness holds me. The Lord knows my breath. I am not forgotten. God walks slowly. Too, grace meets me here. I will rest in peace. My cup is full. Nothing can take what's gentle from me. Amen, amen, amen. The brook is quiet. It isn't far. If you follow the flattened grass that leans just so, or the slight dip where sheep and sandals have walked before, you'll find it. Some days I go with the others, talking softly about bread or weather, but tonight there is only me and the thick hush and the gentle promise of water. It appears between two low stones, winding slow, water so still, so careful that you see the sky looking back. I crouch, letting my hand fall open over the water. For a moment I just watch, noticing how every small current hushes itself, hardly daring to break the glassy silence. The grass on the far side dips and hides in itself. Something about this place lets time loosen its grip. I forget the hour. The sound is softer than quiet itself, barely even a trickle, more like the breath between words. If I listen, there are tiny things, the scrape of a pebble rolling under the surface, the skip of a leaf spun by the smallest wind. Even a cloud drifting above can be seen twice, once in the sky and once in this gentle mirror. It feels like double seeing, safe in the knowing I can blink and nothing will change. I bring my hands closer, let them hover, then dip low into the cool. The water moves around my skin, not rushing, not pulling away, slipping beside me, the most patient companion. It isn't a cold that shocks, only a steady softness, water refusing to hurry me. I hold my hands there much too long, watching the memory of shapes ripple out and fade. There is a long moment before I move. Here, no one asks for anything. I hear my own breathing and the tiny answering hum from the brook. For a little while, my thoughts are sheep, quiet, unhurried, finding something gentle to graze on in the green. When I finally pull my hands free, they glisten. Drops collect on the knuckles, trembling and soft. I watch them fall back into the surface, one after another, each making a small growing circle that barely disturbs the rest. Even when motion happens, stillness returns every time as if it was waiting just below the world. I sit back on the edge of a stone, legs folded, hands open on my knees, letting the quiet become fuller than thought. Overhead, a bird startles and lifts away, but even that is soft, almost apologetic. The air smells green. It is the smell of wet grass, crushed and revived between stones. Sometimes I find a bit of clover or wild mint, pressing it against my palm until the scent rises up into the air between breaths. I breathe in, and the smell sits soft in my chest, spreading out until even memory feels lighter. I notice a shadow pass, not hurrying, just slipping along the surface there and then gone. These are the things that make the world quiet again. Nothing breaks, nothing shouts. All is held as if in the cup of someone's hand. I could sit here until the sun turns pale. The water would still be here, folding slow over each stone, never running out of gentleness. It gives away its coolness to whoever needs it, to the goats, the lambs, the roots of wild herbs, to my skin still cold and waking. Sometimes the shepherd comes, standing just beyond the shade. His staff leans quietly against his shoulder. He speaks little, only enough to call one lamb back into sight, his fingers lingering in their wool, the way water lingers on my hands. Safety is never spoken here, and yet it is felt. When the shepherd kneels, he cups water in a broad palm, offering it to a thirsty sheep. The animal stocks its mouth, drinks in slow, smiling sips. And I think how the shepherd's patience soaks in, too, like the water, steady, without needing to announce itself. Guidance is this, letting the path be gentle, standing quietly by. I lean in, dipping my fingers again, watching how each movement vanishes behind me. There is no need to hurry, no urgent thing calling me away. Sometimes I try to count the pebbles under the water, but the flow apologizes for their number, blurring the edges until counting itself no longer matters, only noticing. Now and then a breeze stirs the surface. Even then, the water only shivers a little, then settles again, always sliding back toward calm. I wonder if hearts do the same, startled, then soothed, always longing to return to what is soft and still. All the while, my body settles. My chest rises and falls, matching the water's quiet pulse. Breath and brook move together, steady companions for the night to come. No one watches me here, not even the sheep. The day slips further behind, and the sound of the world narrows down to one silver thread, a hush that comes not from emptiness, but from fullness, as if everything I need is gathered here, in this small, sacred forgetting. When night comes, it will be gentle. There is no worry in it, only the coolness of water and the memory of stillness, the place where quiet begins and the heart finds its pace, over and over until morning. It gets quieter in the late afternoon, out where the grass grows long. The kind of quiet you hear more than feel, presses on your shoulders, wraps itself around your head. There's a hush to it, almost heavy like a soft wool blanket, waiting. Most days feel the same, each small moment folding into the next, one patch of grass after another, feet moving slow, always noticing if the shadows have shifted or if a breeze curls across your ankles. That's all. Nothing needs to happen here. All you're meant to do is keep walking, stay near enough to the others so no one drifts too far, and when you get tired, just sit for a while. No one hurries you along. That's when I see him, the shepherd, not special, not shining, just there. He doesn't need to say anything. He stands a few feet away, leaning on a staff, a long, knotted piece of wood. It's worn smooth near the top where his hand rests most often. I can close my eyes and know exactly the shape of it, the warmth of the grip, the nicks from years of use. He turns the staff now and then, shifting weight, silent. The sheep hardly notice. We know where he is just by the way the grass never rustles in one spot for too long, by the low sound of his foot twisting in the dirt. Some say the staff can be used to guide or to fend off animals at night, but mostly it just stays there, upright, reliable, the way a candle sits in the window at dusk, not because anyone is coming, but because someone always might. I think the staff means we can stop worrying, even when nothing has threatened us in hours or ever. He doesn't swing it around, doesn't make a show. It might fall over in the grass and no one would notice much, but then he'd pick it up again, like brushing crumbs from the table. I watch him sometimes, hands wrapped around that staff the way someone carries a water jar, not precious, not fragile, just something that is always needed, simple and whole. I remember times when the night felt too wide, hours after the lanterns went dim, when it seemed that anything could move just beyond the hill, and still all we heard was the steady tap of his staff against a stone or the quiet way he'd lean on it, a sound so soft it makes you close your eyes. Like being rocked back to sleep by nothing but presence. You almost forget to be afraid out here. The staff isn't for ceremony. It isn't a sign we never talk about it, but everyone feels better when it's there. Like you can stretch out in the grass and let your heart beat slow. If one of us rises too quickly, startled by a shadow, he doesn't raise his voice, just clears his throat, maybe lifts the staff with a nod, and we remember to look around, to notice we're not alone. Not really. Sometimes a lamb will wander, chewing something that doesn't belong, poking its nose into the brambles. The shepherd doesn't hurry, just lets the staff swing in his hand, making a little rhythm, thump, thump it back to the flock. The lamb glances up, steps away from the thorns. It's all so ordinary you could almost miss it, but the staff never leaves his grip for long. He keeps it by his shoulder as he sits on a stone at the edge of a long slope. The sheep doze and wake, and the earth stays warm under our legs. No one speaks for hours. Every now and then he leans forward and presses the base of the staff into a patch of soft dirt, just a hollow sound, like someone knocking on a door that's always open. I watch the simple way he holds it, not as a weapon, not as a symbol, but as something that belongs to his palm. The staff is like another part of him, always there, always plain, always enough. Sunlight runs in strips across the pasture. The staff catches it and throws a thin shadow down the slope, never far. In that shadow, somehow, we sleep easier. When the night comes, we settle on the grass, tucked under the old olive trees. He sits close by, the staff balanced across his lap, sometimes tapping it slow against the ground. He hums, almost under his breath, a tune so quiet I feel it before I hear it. The song threads through our cotton blankets and into the dirt. There is nothing to watch for. The world stops asking anything of you. The shepherd's presence makes it so, not by answering questions, but just by being. The staff doesn't point the way or block a path. It waits. If something were to come, it would be ready. If nothing comes, it still waits, hand-shaped at the top, steady weight at the end, the ordinary promise of company that needs no words. I close my eyes now, slower than the sun. The staff thuds once more in the grass, settles and is still. Someone sighs, the sound of safe people drifting off. A branch creaks overhead, the night, a soft cove. My heartbeat finds the beat of the staff, gentle, slow, more noticed than spoken. I breathe, long and quiet, knowing he's nearby. That's enough. Always has been. Even as I drift, I don't have to see the shepherd or hold the staff myself. The company is enough. The silence stretches and soothes. Safety only needs to be close, not loud. Someone watches, someone stands, someone keeps the staff upright, and there is peace here. Let the night last as long as it needs. The staff will still be there by morning. I'll find it right where it was left, beside the shepherd, close by, ordinary and unbroken. And I'll remember how it felt to rest beneath the shade of a quiet presence in the middle of the ordinary pasture, breathing alongside peace, awake then gently asleep just nearby. The afternoon had lasted longer than I thought. I remember how the sun, always watchful, had drawn a bright line along the hills at midday, but by now it hung lower, pulling soft shadows across the road. I walked, slow as always, sandals shaping the dusty track, my basket nearly empty, just the heel of old bread and a cool cloth folded deep inside. I could hear the shepherd calling, not far ahead. The sheep moved as one, their steps gentle, never eager, trailing behind his quiet voice. I watched light slip between olive branches, dappling each patch of ground, each step cooled by the shade. Shadows stretched, the path worn but kind beneath my feet. There was nothing to rush. A little stone turned beneath my sandal. I leaned on my stick, smooth, familiar wood, one breath, then another. The air was turning blue, the heat softening. Every line on the ground, every divot seemed more visible as the light faded. I let my eyes drift. The others walked too, saying little. Someone hummed, not words, just a song buried from childhood. It made the shadows less sharp. Sometimes a sheep would pause, nuzzling wild mustard, and the shepherd would wait, not hurrying, not scolding, just letting the moment stretch. There is a quiet in the hour when day leans into evening. It isn't the hush of fear, it's something slower. The valley always looks deeper at this time, colors thickening, almost blue-violet as the sun slips away. I counted each footfall, steady and sound, left, right, trailing after the ones who had walked this way before and would again. The rod tapped rhythm on the earth, little reminders, gentle boundaries. Every child recognized that sound growing up. It kept things simple. The staff curved above the path, ready if any one of us turned aside. Still, tonight, no one wandered. I tried not to think about the stories. Old worries, old warnings. Don't stray when dusk is thick, the elders said. Shadows make fools of wise men. But the shepherd kept moving, so sure, so familiar with every curve in the road. I set my eyes on his feet, one step, then another. Fear faded in the repetition. Each breath felt like its own answer. I remember touching the edge of my shawl, fingers pressing linen between thumb and palm. It was comfort, no magic, just memory. The fabric carried the scent of grass and oil, and the hours spent sitting quietly with the flock. Even as the edges of things blurred, even as sound grew softer, I knew I was not alone. All around, the land folded into itself, hills becoming shadows, rocks losing their heat. The sheep pressed closer, their bleats small now, not needing to be heard. Someone offered water. I took it, cool and metal tasting, then handed it back. Even that shared gesture felt steadying, a reminder that we walked together, even when we didn't speak. The road led further into the quiet. Once a bird startled, just a flutter of wings and then silence again. My heart barely stirred. At this pace, nothing surprised me. The world slowed willingly. No suddenness. Always enough time to notice how the light sifted through leaves, how distance melted into mist. Let this moment stretch. The air was almost sweet, carrying the last warmth from the ground. I loosened my sandals, feeling grit between toes. Every sense watched for the smallest change. The way a branch touched shoulder, the scent of dust and sheep, a pebble pressed into skin. Even the silence was holy. When the shadows deepened, I did not flinch. I walked softer but not faster. The shepherd's shape stayed visible, solid, patient, unafraid. I traced him against the darkening sky, a figure steady as prayer. My fear dissolved. It was replaced by a quiet faith in every repeated step. I did not need to know what lay around the corner, just this moment, just this step. Sometimes I'd look ahead and see how the curve of the valley carried us deeper, the world wrapped in soft blue-gray. Sometimes I looked down, watching my own feet moving over packed earth and loose stone, each step its own reply. I am still here. I am guided. I am not lost. There was a peace in letting go of the rush. No one hurried, not even the animals. The shepherd, with his rod and staff, moved as if he could not be surprised by nightfall, his presence a little weight of comfort behind every silence. The path was ours for now, safe in the knowing, safe in the going. Let the night listen with you. Let the shadows gather. You do not walk alone. I let my breath fall into the rhythm of the walk, slow in, slow out. Even when dusk drew the world softer, even when the last light faded, I stayed close behind the shepherd. Trust becomes easier this way. Repetition until calm grows roots, step, breath, glance, step. Let this moment stretch as long as you need. No one noticed the prayer, spoken without sound, but it was heard. I did not ask for anything. I was content to walk, to watch the world grow gentle, to feel the simple safety behind every shadow. I knew I would keep walking and not be afraid. The caring was in the quiet, in the ground beneath us, in the steady figure leading all the way home. Let even the boredom be holy. Let the stillness do the work. Wherever the path leads, the shepherd is already there, walking slowly, too, and so am I. The evening is slow like every evening. One blends into the next. No reason to rush. The sun hangs low. Shadows stretch across the floor, long and gentle like arms resting. I find myself near the table. It's always the same table. Marks and nicks from years of gatherings. Bits of laughter, crumbs of older feasts caught in the grain. I wipe the wood softly. The cloth is folded, plain linen, still holding the faint smell of the stream where it was rinsed. I set the first plate down. Nothing grand, just a shallow dish carved from olive wood. I press my thumb along its cool edge. Bread comes next. Still warm from the oven's memory, it gives a little as I touch it. I tear it gently, laying pieces apart as though every fragment is enough to feed us all. No one is watching, but it matters. Each piece has its place. A bowl of olives, green and black, slippery with oil. I tip them in so they gather quietly, a small pile glistening in the candlelight. The jar of oil next, it's heavy, unsung, a little cloudy at the bottom. I set it beside the bread, careful not to spill a drop. Every item is placed with slow intention, as if my hands remember something holy in the doing. I listen to the ordinary sounds, footsteps on dust, the soft swish of fabric. People drift in, not all at once. They murmur softly, their voices lower than usual, as if the room itself asks us not to wake it up. No one brings news. No one needs to impress. We do not wait for any grand announcement. Someone sits, folds hands for a moment, just long enough for silence. I glance around. Familiar faces, eyes almost closing, safe here where nothing great is expected. There is time for everything. No one is hungry enough to break the quiet. The first piece of bread passes down, torn again. We dip, we eat. Oil glistens on fingertips. The olives are cool, sharp, grounding. Whispers settle. Each time someone takes something, a small blessing, unnoticed. None of us rush. The act of eating slows the mind. Even the emptiness here feels gentle, softened by company and light. No one gives a speech. We let our chewing and breathing fill the air. It's not a feast, but we are full enough. I watch hands passing bread, pausing, letting the moment stretch. A table that asks for nothing, offering everything in return. I notice the way someone wipes a crumb from the cloth. I tuck my feet beneath me. I listen. There's a prayer maybe, but it's almost silent, lost beneath the sound of swallowing, setting the cup back down. Still, I think it is heard. Even in this, there is guidance. The table gathers us, and for tonight, that is all. The night breathes with us. Hearts grow quiet, minds loosen. There's peace in these slow, simple things, and we rest in them. He asked for nothing and still felt full. Even this silence is holy. The Lord prepares a table, somewhere between the everyday and the sacred. We gather just as we are and let the stillness keep us company. Nothing in this room is hurried. The door groans quietly as it's pushed open, wood slow against wood, and the evening light finds its way along the clay wall. It catches on things left from the day, folded cloth, a cup, a thread of olive stem resting by a basket. Someone moves nearby, sleeves rolled softly to the wrist, careful not to spill the small bowl of oil cradled in their hand. You can smell the oil before you see it. Warm and full, something between sweet grass and pressed leaf. A scent that's been with us so long it feels like the memory of being held. The bowl is unremarkable except for the quiet shine along its rim, where slick gold pools at the edge. Even the bowl's silence is thick, as if it remembers every hand that ever reached for its comfort. The one who brings it does not make a speech. No one gathers to watch or listen. Their hands move the same way they did folding towels earlier or smoothing fabric over a sleeping child's legs, steady, gentle, unrushed. Fingers pause until the shaking stops, then smooth again, just as simple as breathing. No command, just invitation. No ritual, just welcome. Lights in the windows dim. Somewhere someone pours water for tomorrow. Someone else counts out lentils onto their palm for the morning meal. Here the oil waits, nothing more than hope wrapped in a slow gesture. The fragrance curls into corners of the room, a quiet background that doesn't try to claim attention. It settles into hair, into fabric, into the shape of someone sitting safe in the dusk. The hands anoint, not like priests, not as a show. They speak without words. The oil slides over a brow above closed eyes, a thumb drawing the shape of belonging, nothing more. It is not a mark to be seen. It is warmth, left behind by skin. The person being anointed lets out a breath, almost surprised by how gentle it is. Even their shoulders drop. Even their questions grow quieter. The scent is the oldest thing in this moment. It carries memory of meals shared beneath olive branches, of mornings when rain tapped above the bed, of small wounds cleaned and comfort given, without anyone needing to say why. The oil draws a line from those days to this one. It binds heaviness with quiet, replaces noise with the balm of something steady and kind. You breathe again. The others follow. No one gives instructions. There is nothing to recite. Someone hums without noticing, the way people do when their hands are busy and nothing else is asked of them. The bowl is passed, careful not to tip. Sometimes the lid creaks, always the same friendly complaint, as if the wood remembers. You remember, too, the last time you smelled this oil. Maybe it was earlier at the table when hands rested on shoulders when the day started and hope felt fresh. Or maybe it was before childhood when you woke from a frightening dream and someone sat by the bed, hands on your forehead, leaving behind this same unmistakable scent. Even now, the room blurs at the edges, as if memory itself is folding you back into that comfort, letting the world be smaller for a little while. No urgent voices, no calls to prepare. The blessing is simply presence. Oil on the brow, hands smoothing away anything sharp left by the day, turning every old worry into slow, harmless air. Someone at the window lets the breeze in, faint and cool. Even the air seems softened by what's happening inside. The sun leaves behind a line on the floor. You watch it fade, not needing to move. The blessing lingers longer than the touch. After the hands draw back, the fragrance stays, floating with every shift in the air. It settles, endlessly patient, around ears, over eyelids, into the collar of a robe. It is not gone when the one who anointed returns to their quiet chores. It becomes part of the stillness itself, part of the way your body sinks toward rest. The oil keeps saying in its simple language that nothing painful can reach you for now, that you are safe and whole under this roof. The hum in the room is softer now. The tasks are finished or else waiting for sunrise, and no one is in a hurry to leave. You think, maybe, that the bowl could stay just like this until morning, oil reflecting whatever light is left, holding every memory of hands that comforted, every sigh of relief, every wordless thank you that the night quietly gathered and kept. You do not have to understand. You do not need to deserve or explain. The oil is given not as a prize but as a reminder. Breathe in the way it smells, earth and leaf, and something sweeter, something like peace. Let your mind wander to the hundreds of times you have known this comfort. A cloth pressed to your hair, a soft hand on your shoulder, a bowl refilled after dinner, someone waiting up until you're home and safe beyond the threshold. Nothing changes suddenly. The blessing is slow. Even as you drift near sleep, the scent weaves around your dreams, carrying its quiet promise home. Where the oil touched, fear does not follow. Where the scent rests, memory is warmed and healed. The night can have its silence and you can have your rest. The presence is steady, behind you and before you, again and again, like every breath that carries you toward morning. Let the oil's fragrance fill your memory now. Let comfort linger the way small, loving things always do. There is nothing required. The story simply sits beside you, letting today fall away. The oil remains, gentle as a parent's hand, familiar as waking up safe, holy as every tired body finding peace at last. It was nearly evening when I finished folding the last of the linen. My hands moved slow along the edge, pressing the lines flat, tucking the corners without hurry. Outside, the sheep were restless but gentle, their hooves tapping faint through the packed dirt, almost hidden under the quiet coming down with dusk. Every night, someone would fill the cups. Sometimes it was me, after the others had gone out to see if the goats had wandered from the hillside. The pitchers were clay, scratch-marked and heavy, still cool from the spring. My thumb felt the grain where a chip had worn away at the rim. I carried the jug with both hands, cradled close against my tunic, moving careful so the water didn't slosh too much over. I set one small cup on the table, steadying it with two fingers so it wouldn't wobble. It was just an old cup, nothing anyone would admire. It had the roundness of daily use, and a darkness along the bottom where hands and lips had met it again and again. A cup like this was never empty for long, though it never needed to be truly full, only enough for the moment. No one had to say it out loud. We all just waited, and we all had enough. There wasn't any hurry in the pour. I watched the water slip from the mouth of the pitcher, thin and smooth, tracing a soft thread of light into the cup. There was a faint, easy sound, not a rush, not a spill, just the gentle hush of water meeting water. The first bit spread across the bottom, then a soft rising, rounding out, reaching the halfway mark, then a little more. Some people pour always worried, squinting, watching for the edge too close, looking over their shoulder as if they'll miss the moment when it's too late. But here it never feels that way. I let the water climb, slow and steady, the lip of the cup catching each ripple. A thin shimmer like glass stretched over the brim, wobbling but not falling, domed with just enough courage to keep from spilling. It almost looked like it might tumble down the sides, but it held. I breathed out and the cup stood quietly, more than full, not in a way that wastes but in a way that says, "You can trust this." The others came inside, slow steps, quiet talk about grass that still held green beneath the dry stalks. They set the baskets on the floor, dust flicking from their sleeves. Nobody looked twice at the cup. It was always there, always waiting. There was never a question of lack, just who would take the next sip and who would pour after. The world can shrink to simple things at dusk, the linen stacked neat against the wall, the flick of a cloth along a shelf, the sound of water in a cup. I touched my finger to the rim, feeling how cool it was, how round. A cup like this, filled so gently, feels as though it could last forever if you needed it. No one asks for more. No one asks for less. The quiet says enough. It's easy to watch for waste, to worry about drops falling to the table, pooling into something to clean, as if there's shame in abundance. But tonight the cup held its shape, even as the surface shone up at the lantern's little gold light. I almost wanted someone to notice, to marvel at how close the water lay to the edge, how still it sat, how unbothered. But there was nothing special about it here. It was simply a full cup, and it was enough. Someone asked if I could fetch more bread. I nodded and left the cup behind. In the small kitchen space, flatbread rested under a towel, just warm enough to soften in the hand. I carried 2 pieces back, breaking one for myself. Crumbs scattered near the cup, settling like small blessings in the quiet. Nobody rushed to drink. The night outside grew thicker. The sheep finished their slow chewing. The last light bent in through the doorway, dusting the rim of every vessel with a gentle amber glow. The cup, still rounded at its edge, waited, steady, calm, unchanged. I caught my breath and let it out, a slow, even sigh. Safety in the shape of water standing where it was asked to be. Enough. Sometimes I watched other hands take the cup, older, younger, trembling from a long day in the sun. Each time they sipped and set it down, and the cup was filled again. Nobody took more than they needed. Nobody left less than could be replenished. It is strange how the fear of emptiness can keep you up at night, but here the fear quiets, replaced with the hush of things being filled just as much as is needed. There are days when the pitcher runs lower than we would like, and we wait a little longer before we pour. There are days when there's enough to fill every cup twice over, and laughter makes the water ripple, spilling a little, but no one feels lacking. Today sat quietly between those days, just enough, just so. The surface of the cup stayed domed and careful, an answer to a question no one had asked out loud. I folded the last cloth as the others talked, listening to the rise and fall of their words over the table. Every so often, the cup's water would catch the light, throwing a soft dot onto my sleeve, a silent reminder. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. Even in silence, our needs are answered full, then a little more. Not to waste, but to rest. To know that tonight and every night what we have is enough, and that is abundance here in the gentle pour and the stillness of the cup. The night gathered, soft and close. My hands, stilled now by my side, held nothing, and I did not feel empty. He asked for nothing and still felt full. The cup in its place waited, overflowing, never wasted. Enough. Let this moment stretch. Let every slow breath gather with you. Even this small abundance is holy. The night listens with you, and the cup is never empty. There is a road leading out of the village, a long one, packed from the feet of many travelers. On this evening, the sun slides just above the hills, stretching each shadow until the dust turns golden and gentle. That's when we begin walking together, slow and silent beside one another, letting our steps fall into a quiet rhythm. You can hear the shuffling, the hush of sandals on earth, and sometimes the soft tap of a walking stick, but no one's in a hurry. No one speaks much either. It's enough being together like this, side by side in the fading light. The day's work is behind us. Someone brushes dirt from their hands quietly. Another carries a small bundle, nothing much, just bread loosening at the corners. There are children wandering a little ahead, finding patterns in the pebbles, sometimes bending to collect a stone, sometimes forgetting and dropping it behind for someone else to notice and pick up. The road is wide enough for all of us, but no one seems to need more room. If a friend stumbles, a gentle hand finds their arm, guiding for just a breath. No words, just a pause, just the soft joining of two lives for a single step. Then the rhythm picks up again, slow, steady, almost meditative. There are moments when dust lifts in the air, sparkling against what remains of the sun. Some are tired, their feet drag a bit, their shoulders droop, but no one is left behind. If you listen, you can hear a deep inhale, a long, shared breath carried by all of us, letting exhaustion become a kind of comfort. Even in silence, kindness finds 1,000 ways to walk alongside. One person shares water, holding the clay jug steady as another drinks. Two old friends, rarely speaking, simply move in unison, as if sharing the memory of every road behind them and every gentle mercy that eased their way. Someone wipes their forehead with the edge of a sleeve, leaving a small mark of dust behind. Another unties a sandal to shake out a thorn. No one minds waiting. People shift their bundles. Someone offers their cloak to a friend whose shoulders have shivered in the cooling air. The sun, nearly gone, paints every face in gentle gold. We feel the heaviness of the day slide from our backs, leaving only the weight that mercy makes light. Each step, every sound, every shared silence is its own kind of prayer. There is no grand gesture, no speech, only the mercy found in letting each person go their speed. No one asks, "Are you all right?" They simply walk a little closer. If someone slows, everyone slows. No one looks for reward. This is just what we do, again and again, as the roads lengthen into the night. Even the ones who say little are part of the rhythm, their presence steady as the sound of breath. You notice how easy it is to be gentle when there is time. There's no need to rush. Sometimes the best mercy is a slower pace, letting the journey lengthen as the road does, stretching out the distance so that even the tiredest among us can stay spirits with the group. Every now and then someone hums something soft, not really a song, more memory than music. It fades before it reaches the end, but nobody minds. Even that half-forgotten tune is an offering. A child stumbles and is gathered up, not with fuss, just with a steadying grip. Far ahead, someone is waiting, silhouetted against the last bright streak of sky, but they don't call for us to hurry. Their waiting is a kind of mercy, too, letting the day end on its own terms. Our path winds gently, looping around patches of grass softened by dew, and sometimes branches hang low overhead. Each obstacle makes us slow further. Notice each breeze, every texture of the earth. The road, old and patient, holds all our burdens in its dust. As the stars begin to show, silver against the violet blue, our eyes adjust. We see less, but we know the way by heart, a line of footsteps, some deep, some light, but all carrying the same mercy from step to step. Every so often, the rhythm changes. Someone pauses to adjust their bundle. Someone else leans down to tie a child's sandal. The group ripples, then settles again, our breath sinking ever so slightly, like waves brushing the same shore. You remember how, long ago, someone showed you mercy on this same road. A stranger sharing bread, a neighbor's quiet smile in a difficult season. Tonight you carry that kindness as surely as your own bundle, passing it quietly onward. No one keeps account. Mercy doesn't need to be noticed to be real. It hovers between us, just beneath every ordinary gesture, like a familiar shadow at our feet. The hill rises gently ahead. Our pace slows again. In the pause, you can almost sense God, not a thunder, not a miracle, just the steady presence in the walking together. A rod and staff that comfort, not by spectacle, but by the simple assurance that no one walks alone. This is the place for mercy, beside the road, under a sky soft with coming night, sharing whatever is at hand. An old cloak, some bread, a quiet shoulder. We keep moving, not because we must, but because mercy moves with us. We do not notice the moment the sun finally slips away, only that we are still together, still carried by each other's steps. The night welcomes us. The road widens into a field, or perhaps it narrows into darker quiet. Still, we walk. You take a final slow breath in, letting the gentle rhythm of every footfall settle into your body. The night is full of quiet kindness, of footsteps and small mercies carried onward. Here there are no lessons, only the ordinary peace of walking home, side by side, no one left behind, not even you. Rest comes slowly, but it comes, the road and mercy lengthening, until all is still. Evening spreads quietly along the rooftops. Someone lights a small oil lamp in the house next door. The flame is plain, gentle. It says nothing, but it stays. I lean against the rough stones outside my own door, letting the last light fold itself over my shoulders. It isn't cold tonight. The air is kind, the way you never really notice unless you are sitting still, with nothing pressing to do. Bread on my lap, still warm from the afternoon's baking. I break off a piece. It smells good, earthy, and simple. I think about how many times my hands have pressed the dough, how many evenings have ended just like this. I chew slowly. The crust is hard at the edges but soft inside. There's a sweetness that only comes at the end of the day. I look around. My neighbor is inside, humming as she sweeps the floor. That hum has always been the same, as long as I can remember. She hums over her worries and joys and sorrows. The simple melody doesn't cure anything, but it covers the moment, just like this light covers the doorway. A child's laugh skips out from a few houses down. It rises, quick and light, then fades away into the dust. That's all. Just a sound, but it lingers. A reminder that someone was happy for a moment right here. It's so simple. I listen for it to come again, and after a while it does. A different laugh this time. Another child running between feet and baskets, trailing a stick in the dirt. So much energy, even when the elders are tired. It's a joy that's easy to forget, but tonight I watch it pass and remember. Someone drops a bucket nearby. Water sloshes over the edge. There's a scolding, soft and low, but the sound does not last. The water is swept up. The voices settle. Every small trouble just settles. I listen, wondering how many little storms have quieted just like this. A loaf is shared across a low wall. Two women reach at the same moment, hands brushing. They smile. That's the whole act, nothing poetic, just bread given and received. But the warmth of it stretches wider than the piece itself. There is honey spread on the bread. The taste lingers. Not everyone gets honey, but tonight a little extra was given. I notice how one jar can last if it is shared thinly, softly. The sweetness stretches further than I thought it could. Goats finish their last mouthfuls. They nudge each other, soft, blunt heads patient. Their chewing is slow, almost like a prayer. I count their breath, steady, steady. Every night, just like this, their stillness fills the darkening yard. Someone sings very quietly behind a closed door, a lullaby maybe, or a psalm. The words are too soft to understand, but the tune settles over the little street just enough to hush the corners. It comforts me, the way a wool blanket might, draped around shoulders when the wind turns cooler. Even if the singer doesn't know I'm listening, I am. No one asks for anything right now. No one wants more than what's here, a little bread, the hum of a neighbor, laughter from a doorway, silent chewing of goats, things that could go unnoticed if I wasn't so still. I sit longer, eating and watching, letting the evening goodness gather around me, small things over and over. The comfort piles up quietly like folded cloth on the bench. I remember each one, and then let it float away. The butter melting into a warm loaf, a cup passed with a murmur of thanks, bare feet on cool packed earth, the sleepy nod of someone too tired to finish their story, candles flickering behind linen curtains, not bright enough to keep anyone awake, a father lifting a little girl to see over the wall, just for a moment, then down again, each tiny thing, returning like breath. Sometimes I think the night is the kindest time. The goodness grows softer, and in that softness I see it clearer. It's never loud, never overwhelming. I notice the way the lamp smells, oil and smoke, a scent older than I am. I wonder how many nights it has burned for. I touch the table's edge, worn smooth from years of hands like mine. Even this, I think, is goodness, even the familiar. There is a bowl of olives, left over from dinner. I eat one, then another slowly, letting the salt linger on my tongue before it disappears. Each bite asks me to stop and stay a while longer. I hear someone tuck in a child, pulling up a blanket, murmuring the words all parents seem to know. The child sighs and the world grows one notch softer. Even sleep is a gift. The little ones know it even if I forget. I run my palm over the bread crumbs in my lap. There is a satisfaction in how the pieces fall away, to scatter for birds or ants or the wind. The ending of a meal, the closing of a day, both are made of tiny beginnings tucked inside endings. Someone walks past, leaning on a sturdy stick. His pace is slow, each footfall careful in the gathering dusk. He nods and I nod back. Nothing is spoken, but kindness is exchanged. Now the street is nearly empty. I listen. I listen again, as though listening could stretch the goodness even further. The quiet stacks up, soft and safe, as if the world wants to wrap itself around tired hearts. If I think hard, I can name many hard days. But tonight I let those memories drift. I choose instead to count only what is near, the hush after laughter, the warmth from my bread hands meeting in gentle work, light that stays, songs that float without words, feet finding their way home. Nothing grand, but all of it is goodness. It's here. If I sit long enough, I gather it with my breath. I let the repetition quiet my mind, each kindness, a soft step toward rest. Someone opens their door to let in a breeze. A curtain wavers. We share the same light, the same air. It feels like God is here, not with a shout, but with every slow, small comfort, with every unnoticed kindness that fills an evening. I close my eyes, breathe in, and let it all settle. At the edge of sleep, goodness keeps its watch. Nothing more is needed. The lamp flickers once, then stays. Only quiet and the surety that something gentle holds this night together. The sun slips down behind the hills, its light soft and golden, just enough to draw out the shape of each stone along the path. You walk home slowly. There is no hurry. The day is finished, but the world feels very quiet, gentle, as if everything has already found its place. In your hand, a small basket, half filled with leftover bread. You carried it long after your errands were done, not because you needed to, but just for the comfort of its weight. Dust rises behind your sandals. Each step moves through warm silence. There's the low sound of a sheep's bleat nearby, a shepherd calling softly with the same words as always. Nothing special, just a voice always returning, reminding the flock with every gentle call, I am here. I am still watching over you. In the fields green with new growth, you see the folds of earth where wildflowers stubbornly hang on. The stories say these are the places where peace settles. You believe this, but only quietly, the way you believe in the turning of the seasons or the return of birds in spring. Home is not stone walls or a heavy gate. It is this returning, this folding into each day, never really outside the light. Your hands are tired, but you find them making small, steady movements, touching the edge of your robe, smoothing the soft linen cloth you've carried since morning. There is comfort in old cloth, in the work your fingers know how to do. The shepherd's staff leans quietly against the well. Even when no one is looking, someone is watching. Even if the flock wanders, they are never outside the sound of that voice. Tonight, you pass by the doorways where oil lamps burn low and quiet. No one seems to notice the way the shadows dance, but you do. You have always paused here, watching, listening, letting the hush gather around you like a thin blanket. It is safe somehow in this smallness. No one asks you to be more than who you already are. You remember the psalm spoken under your breath many times. Surely goodness and mercy will follow, always, even when the world forgets your name. You whisper it out not because anyone needs to hear, but because the evening feels heavier if you don't. The words return again, round and patient, dwelling, forever, dwelling inside the house. Stale air gives way to the scent of fresh bread, faint honey, the last wood smoke of supper. You slip off your sandals. The floor is cool. Your feet remember this welcome, the ordinary grace of being inside, having a place to sit, having someone nod as you enter, no questions required. You cross to the table where a simple bowl is set. The table never changes. Small cracks run across its wooden surface. You run a hand over them, feeling the grooves. It's not the feast that holds the comfort, but the fact that it's always here, waiting. Even alone, nothing is empty. A jug of water sits in the corner, cool from the stone. You pour some into a clay cup, not out of thirst, just for the ritual of it. One sip, then another. The water is enough. You hear the others ending their day. Someone sweeps in the front hall. Someone else hums quietly, not a melody anyone would remember, but a sound you recognize. There is peace in these small, unnoticed acts. The house breathes. You find a place by the window and pull the cloth from your basket. You fold it slowly, smoothing the corners. Each fold seems to speak in soft, wordless voices. You belong, you are not outside, you are home. The shepherd outside walks his path, circling with patient steps. You know, without having to look, that he'll be there all night. He doesn't guard from danger just by standing watch, but by his presence. It tells the flock that nothing can slip between them and the shepherd's care. You hold on to that. There is nothing you must do to earn this comfort. No task left unfinished, no invitation needed. The presence lingers like the lowing of sheep in the dark or the gentle creak of wood settling. A small oil lamp burns at your side. You watch the tiny flame dance. There's no rush to sleep, only the gentle drift of being known. You remember that you are always inside love, never outside it. As the night deepens, the air grows even more still. Shadows move quietly around you, but the hush settles in your chest, a reminder that home can be any place, any moment, right where you are. Home is not walls or a roof. It is belonging. It is knowing that you could wander from room to room or from field to field and still be carried softly, still be seen. Even in silence, you are never left alone. You think of God's promise, sometimes just a soft echo, you will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The words invite you gently to rest. There is no end to love's welcome here. The night listens as you breathe. Everything is quiet. Everything holds you. You feel the belonging now, not as a treasure to keep, but as air to breathe, as lightness in your bones. Whether you are awake or drifting beneath sleep, nothing can place you outside of this presence. Nothing can pull you from its peace. Soft footsteps pass in the hall, fading away. You lie down in your small room, folding the day behind you. The steady hum of the world, the distant voice of a shepherd, the warmth of close-by lives, all of it gathers around your rest. A gentle, constant welcome. The walls of belonging are made of stillness, not stone. In the hush between breaths you sense it again, the comfort that has followed you all your life. No door will close. No voice will push you away. Home is not a place. It is the heart's returning to love over and over, in the presence that fills every space, even the dark ones. Here in the silence you settle. The psalm whispers again for you, for anyone drifting to sleep tonight, always dwelling, always held, never outside love. The night is long and gentle. Rest, for the Lord makes a home in every moment you let go. The day draws in. Sunlight pulls away from the stones and walkways softer and softer until only the edges remain gold. Then even the gold is gone, changed to quiet blue, fading to a gentle ash. I watch the last chores finished with slow hands. Someone carries a jar pressed against their chest, weighing the smooth curve by its warmth. The jar is not heavy, only the end of a job. It is placed down beside another, both waiting for morning. A pair of sandals rest just inside the door. Dust from the path scatters softly in the breeze until the door is nudged closed, not with force but with care. The wooden latch settles in its notch. That small sound travels further in the hush, wrapped in evening's peace. One by one, people disappear from the yard, leaving only a broom leaned up near the wall. A woman smooths a corner of cloth, folding it twice before setting it on the table. The gesture is practice. No one tells her to do it. She tucks a loose edge underneath, slowly. letting her shoulders drop in relief as she finishes. Somewhere nearby, children's laughter floats and then dissolves. A jug tips, pouring a last cup for someone who is already sleepy. Water runs in a thin thread, clear and quiet. No one rushes. The world allows everything to slow to almost nothing. Lamps are tended. Someone checks the oil, pinches the wick, sets a low, steady flame. Not much light is needed now. The corners of the room remain soft, the shadows gentle enough to rest your eyes in. Every lamp gives permission for the dark to gently come closer. I sit for a moment, listening, just to the breathing of the house. It knows what rest is. Someone brings in a basket, empty now but smelling faintly of figs and straw. Hands brush old crumbs into the open palm, letting them fall in the yard. The chickens have already gone quiet. They settle their feathers, content to sleep through any miracle that might pass by in the dark. We do not speak much. A low word here and there, a good night, or just a hand laid on a shoulder in place of any reply. There is no hurry. Every routine feels like a small blessing, even if nobody points it out. Each thing finished is quietly praised just because it is done. The gate is checked twice, with a hand pressing gently against the cedar. I hear the faint creak paired with a sigh. The world outside is trusted to the night. Inside, there is only what needs to be gathered and only the simplest preparations. I watch the last lamp dimmed. The flame is pinched gently between thumb and finger. For a moment, the air smells of warm oil. In the dark, I can hear everything: my own heartbeat, the distant voice of the wind, and the silence that has gathered to bless our simple acts. No one notices, but the shepherd is near. Not as a vision, not as a voice, just as the steady presence letting the house rest, letting each tired body sink. We are not watched, but we are seen. Nothing is expected, but everything is held. Let tonight be simple. Let the quiet be holy. Let even boredom hush me into safety, and let nothing be out of place as the day closes, and we rest under the gaze of one who does not sleep. Outside, the last blue of evening begins to smudge into gray. The fields lie quiet. Nothing moves now but a branch in the wind, and the faint stir of sheep bedding down, far beyond the fence. You stand beside the open door for a moment. The world is still here. The grass, the stone path, the thin thread of smoke rising from your neighbor's roof, all settling deeper into the hush. You let your eyes wander through the soft shapes. Nothing calls for you, not any more tonight. The sky is deeper than you remembered it this morning. Somewhere, a single star, stubborn and small, hangs in the twilight. You don't wish on it, you just notice. It's only a star, a gentle point above your ordinary day. You listen, just breathing, letting the night gather itself around the edges of your world. Someone far off calls a name not yours. You almost smile. How many evenings have ended just like this? The old door creaks as you pull it closer. The wood is warm beneath your hand, smoothed thin by years. You pause, fingertips on the gentle edge, and take a last small look at the comfort outside. The fields, the water, the faint outline of a hill in the distance. None of it expects you to stay awake. There will be sun and grass tomorrow, another walk, another meal. Now the world makes itself small, folding just for you. You pull the door shut. The sound is soft, patient, final. Nothing left outside, nothing chasing. Inside, the room is familiar in its own gentle way. Shadows gather in corners, curling around the woven mat. the silent shelf, the washed bowl waiting for morning. Everything in its place, just a little softer than before. The fire is little more than an ember now, a low orange glow flickering beneath fine gray ash. You hold your hands above the warmth, not really needing the heat but happy to pause. The day can be heavy, but night does not ask for anything. You are allowed to be tired here, slumped by the hearth, folding your knee beneath yourself, breathing as slowly as you like. You notice how still the air has become, how the world outside the walls has drifted away, so far now you can barely remember the reason for your waiting. There is nothing urgent left, nothing unfinished that matters in a room like this. Only a faint echo of feet moving across the floor, of the small song you hummed before and the hush that answers back. You sit, not needing to speak. The darkness settles in with you, dim and drowsy, so quiet it almost feels alive. If you look closely, the shadows pulse and sway, rocking themselves toward sleep. The ceiling beams melt into dusk, the walls slip from brown to pale blue to a gentle shade that has no name. You let your gaze drift across the room, never landing. Every corner is half hidden, but none of it is frightening. Here, even darkness has a softness to it, like a blanket or a hand on your shoulder. From where you sit, the world seems very simple, just breathing in and out. You imagine lying back, letting the stillness pool around your ankles, rising up, slow as milk spilled on a stone floor. Each minute grows heavier, each thought slower. You blink. The room blinks with you. A single moth taps at the window, then disappears. Even it seems tired of searching for the glow. The sleepiness is sacred. There is grace in being done. You tidy nothing. You fix nothing. No one needs you to remember a story, to recite old words tonight. The shepherd is out there somewhere in the cool night, walking the dark hills, keeping watch when you cannot. You are safe here inside. You believe it, even if only for now. The rod and staff rest on their hooks by the door. They have seen much. They hold the marks of every long day, the tiny scratches, the gentleness pressed in over time. There is comfort in their quiet presence, a reminder of care, of guidance that does not need to be spoken. You let that steady feeling rise, as gentle as sleep itself. On the shelf, a small jar of oil waits. You remember the slow drip last Sabbath, the shine on your forehead, the way your sigh let go by the fire. Even the oil is resting now, a little lighter, a little more precious for being used. There will be another table, another cup, another moment for fullness. Tonight you need only this emptiness, the good kind, the holy kind, where nothing presses in. You stretch, folding your arms closer around yourself as the night folds you back. Everything slows to a sacred crawl. Every breath is met by silence. The daylight is gone, but the world has not ended. It tucks itself in just like you. The fire sighs a last, delicate breath, then settles into its bed of ash. Shadows slip up the wall, drowsy and safe, and you close your eyes, not to block the darkness, but to let it seep in and wrap you whole. The shepherd prepares the night like a table just for you. No feast, no music, only peace. The Lord anoints your silence. Goodness and mercy, soft as the wool on your shoulders, follow you here. The door is closed. The night has found you. You are already home. It's quiet now. The lamp by the door burns lower, thin light reaching only the nearest corners. The day faded with the last footsteps outside. a quiet hush settling over the house, pressing gently on the old wooden door. A pallet, worn but warm, covers pulled high. Familiar, safe. All around, small shapes from the day, folded cloth, an empty mug, straw scattered where sandals left it behind. The softness of the mattress, even the gentle weight of the night air. Your head sinks. Each breath grows slower. Crickets sing from somewhere beyond the window. Their sound is steady and unhurried. Maybe a faint breeze stirs the curtain, bringing with it the smell of cool grass, a bit of dust, chalky and pure. You listen long enough that you feel the whole room breathing too. Above, the sky is so wide it seems to stretch out forever. A black bowl filled with stars somewhere. Sheep are sleeping. Pastures you walked by in the day now rest, wrapped in night's cool hush. Still water, silent as glass, holds the moon's pale reflection. All is very, very still. You wait, not hurried, just letting the silence stretch, slow and deep. One hand tucks the covers under your arm. The other is empty, relaxed in the silence. You think of the shepherd, good, patient, always close, but you don't speak it aloud. Only a whisper so faint it barely stirs the air. Stay with me just until morning. You listen into the hush for any sign of reply. Every quiet thing feels gentle, holy. No answer needed, just steady presence in the darkness. The shutters creak. Outside the night is wide and deep and calm. Sparks in the sky, each one far and quiet. Gentle, ordinary, faithful. You breathe in and let the breath fade away, leaving only stillness. Soft, gentle, safe. Now, under the covers, you let each of these truths settle with you. You are not forgotten. God is not far. Your breath is known. The quiet is no threat. The one who watches never sleeps, not even now. It's safe to rest. It's holy to sleep. You are here. And God is here. Your story is gently held even tonight. Amen. Amen. Amen.